All the videos I do on budget guitars, I would be amiss if I didn't try at least one Schecter guitar. Schecter has always been a company that I've known about, but up until recently, when I tried out the 𝐒𝐏𝐄𝐂𝐈𝐀 Edition guitar, never really paid much attention to. And not really for any particular reason. Maybe I just had that early 2000s tap out and affliction style baked into my psyche. I'm not really sure. There was also the style of the guitar bodies that I just didn't really gel with, so I guess I never really gave them a fair shot. Today we're gonna change that though, because I have one of the cheapest guitars they currently produce, and we're gonna see if it's a hot deal or hot garbage. What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. My name is Taylor. It's true, I'm probably the last person on this platform to really play a Schecter guitar. And like I mentioned, I don't really have a great reason for that. I've told this story before on the channel, but in the early 2010s, my friends in American Me got an endorsement deal with them, and I tried one of the slimline guitars, so I knew they were totally competent guitars, and I mean, I even have a Schecter bass that I use for a lot of recording, so I'm aware that the instruments they make are good, but I guess I just never got along with the aesthetic until I tried that 𝐒𝐏𝐄𝐂𝐈𝐀 guitar. Remember what I just talked about? That video and that guitar really made me want to check out their entry-level guitars for this series because at a glance, they look really cool. This is the Schecter C6 Deluxe. This particular one is in satin black. The body's made out of basswood. It has a bolt-on neck. It has 24 narrow extra jumbo frets. That's interesting, more on that later in this video. The fretboard is made out of rosewood, and just FYI, this is like some of the slickest, most glossy rosewood I've ever seen. I actually thought it might be some artificial wood when I was setting up the guitar for this video, but no, it's rosewood. It's just extremely glossy. Scale length is 25.5 inches. The fretboard radius is 14 inches. The neck shape is listed as a thin C, and if you have seen any of my videos, I have some thoughts on this, but I will talk more about the neck shape as I demo this guitar. We have a graphite 42mm nut, a volume knob, a tone knob, a three-way toggle switch, a dual action truss rod, Schecter branded tuners, a tune-o-matic string through body bridge. The pickups are Schecter's own diamond plus millimeter dot inlays, and this whole package comes in at $349 US at the time of making this video. And just as a disclaimer, this is currently the cheapest guitar they produce. I always get comments on these videos like,
"My uncle's music store has 𝐒𝐿𝐿 model and it's only 15 shillings. How could you miss that?"
I am either going off the company's website directly or one of the main retailers in the country where I live, and statistically you, the United States. And with that said, these videos are not sponsored by the companies of the guitars I am reviewing. However, this video does have a sponsor, and that sponsor is Sweetwater and AKG. The AKG C414XL2 is a large diaphragm condenser microphone with 9 switchable polar patterns. Like 9, that's a lot. It also has a dynamic range of 152 decibels. With an increased presence and spatial response, it is ideal for recording anything from vocals to drums, or even recording things at a distance, like if you wanted a room mic on your drums, for example. It's good for that. We also have 4 selectable attenuation pads for anywhere from 0 to -18 decibels of reduction, and 4 different bass cutoff settings from flat all the way to 160 Hertz. The microphone itself comes with a carrying case, pop filter, windscreen, and spider type shock mount that has this cool little lock mechanism that is oddly satisfying to use. I don't know why, I can't explain it, but I really like this feature. So thank you so much to Sweetwater and AKG for sponsoring this video. You know the deal. Use the link in the description, help out the channel, say hi to your mom for me. So I've had this guitar for just a little bit now. Okay, all right, so I have the Schecter plugged in. It's unplayable. And if you saw the video where I unboxed it, you'll know that we need to set this thing up because, yeah, it's kind of unplayable as is. So let's go do that. Okay, so there's a few things that I want to mention with this setup. You know, the first obvious thing is we're still fretting out with the strings, so there's obviously still back bow in the neck. I need to take care of that next. That will be the first thing I do. But really, other than that, I didn't come across any issues, which is pretty surprising because there's always something with these budget guitars. Something's loose, something's weird, something's sharp. These fret edges, like, they're not the best in the world, but they're not bad at all. I mean, these are totally passable. A couple sharp ones up here, but it's definitely not the worst I've ever felt. It's also not the best fretwork I have ever felt in my life. Now, there are a couple spots where the frets look high, like I can straight up get my fingernail under it. So while the edges might be mostly filed down and rounded off, they're not set very well. I mean, the 11th fret right here, I can straight up get my thumbnail underneath that. Storage issue, I don't know. I mean, you know, if you look at the back of the guitar, it has a sticker on it that says Schecter set up to play, which clearly is not the case. I feel like that's really important to let you know, like this guitar is taking a considerable amount of setup other than just changing the strings. I'm not going to do anything about the frets, obviously, in this video, but we'll see how much that comes into play later during the demo. So I'm just gonna finish up by adjusting the neck so that I can actually tune this guitar, and then I can intonate it and set the string height and everything, and then we'll do the demo. Okay, I am done setting this guitar up. There's a few things that I need to mention. I was a little bit worried that I actually was not gonna get the back bow out of it because as I was loosening the truss rod, it was getting tighter and tighter. It's a little bit weird. I've encountered this a few times, like on budget guitars. When you try to adjust the truss rod, it just, you know, gets tight one way or another. But I would say that this is probably the most extreme I've ever encountered on that. Like I was actually worried something was gonna break when I was trying to loosen the truss rod. Now, aside from that, I was able to get the neck flat, actually have a little bit of relief in the neck for the strings. I adjusted the string height. The saddle on the B string or G string for the tuning that I have it in is immobile. I could not adjust this screw. It is just locked up. So I was unable to intonate this string. When number 64 set this guitar up, it looked like all the saddles were just in a straight line. So, you know, it was not intonated, but I got that done. That's really it. That's all the notes that I have on the setup, but I feel like that's really important to let you know what you could potentially be getting yourself into. I mean, maybe not all of their guitars ship out like this in this condition, but this one did, and that's all I have to go off of. So I feel like that's important to share this information with you, you know, so that way you can do your due diligence and see if these are things that you want to do if you potentially buy one of these guitars. So let's go plug this in and demo it and see how it sounds. What's up, everybody? I have this Schecter. What is it? Schecter. I don't even know what this is. Son of a hold on, I gotta look this up. Cheese and rice. What's up, guys? I have the Schecter C6 Deluxe plugged into my Boss Katana here that's going through this Mesa 4x12 cabinet, and that is being mic'd up with the AKG microphone that we showed in the beginning of this video, the C414XL2. It's a different microphone from my usual configuration, but what I figured I would do is I would actually just make an IR of the way this is set up right now, so that way if you want to try it out, you can do that. I will leave that for free in my Discord, you know, if you would like to check that out. So hop over, or don't, you know, if you don't have to check it out. So right away, my first impressions with this guitar, I actually really enjoy playing this a lot, but there are some big caveats to that. We will go through those in this video because I think there are some red flags a little bit, like if you haven't already been informed about some of those red flags, you haven't been watching the video, but there are definitely some like issues that I have with this guitar, but my initial impression with playing it is, it's nice. That is one of the issues right there. I am getting a little bit of string buzz still. The reason I'm getting a little bit of string buzz still is because the neck is kind of warped. I feel like I might actually have to adjust with the bridge. You know, I think we're gonna be okay for this video, but maybe if I was being super anal about this setup, I would just like raise this side of the bridge a little bit to compensate for the neck, because the neck like kind of bends a little bit. It is far, far from the worst I've ever seen, but it is definitely there, and it just doesn't feel right to not say anything about it. I don't know if these strings are doing extra stretching or it's because I had to adjust the neck so much and it's resettling, but I'm having a hard time staying in tune. So FYI on that. Honestly, we could probably give the guitar the benefit of the doubt since I had to adjust it so much. It's just the wood readjusting. Yeah, it's not the string stretching. Keep in mind that I couldn't intonate the G string. But you know, once it's tuned up, it sounds really good actually. You know, I'm always really surprised when like budget or entry-level guitars have good pickups, but these ones do have good pickups. Now, on that subject, this guitar is $349. $350 might not sound like a budget option to some people, but you know, this is the cheapest guitar they make. Let me just fact check myself real quick. Let's go. Wow, their website's kind of a mess, if I'm being honest with you. Let's go to Sweetwater and search Schecter guitars. So this guitar's not even on Sweetwater at the time making this video. Schecter's cheapest guitar that's on Sweetwater is $399. So I don't know. I'm just gonna assume that this is the cheapest guitar they make right now. If you want to correct me in the comments, feel free. But you know, as far as I can tell, this is the cheapest guitar that Schecter produces at the time making this video. That is why it's on here. Anyways, I actually really enjoy playing this guitar. Let's talk about the thin C neck profile. This is always really weird when companies do this because they all like kind of, you know, most companies will say modern C, thin U, thin J. I don't know. They all have different profile names for their neck profiles. And all I could do is try and describe to you what this plays like. This is very thin. This is probably on the thinner side of a lot of guitars that I've played. It is a very thin and fast neck, which is a little bit surprising for me because my initial experience with Schecter guitars, you know, way back in the day, was the necks were kind of chunky. And you know, another thing that's really complimenting this thin neck profile is that we have all these like bevels and cutaways here. This is really cool on a guitar that's $350, you know? We have this one right here for your arm, these cutaways in the horns right here for your hand. Like you get your hand way up here. The heel, this is one of the best heel cutaways on a cheaper guitar I've ever seen. I mean, it is all round. You can get your hand way up here. It's very comfortable. It's rounded all the way. It's not like they just cut a little corner off or something like that, or even worse, just left it like a big block. It's very, very nice, very smooth, very easy to get around. We have the belly cut in the back. We have this cutaway. I mean, there's a lot of like ergonomic cutaway. It's very, very comfortable to play. I think it sounds really good. I think it feels really good in the hands. Let's talk about the pickups here real quick. I'm not noticing like any microphonics with these pickups at all. This all seems really normal to me. I'm not getting any like weird noise or anything like that. It all seems pretty good, but let's go to a clean channel here. And I do not have a camera on this amplifier. Apologies for that, but here's the bridge. You can hear some of that buzz in there like I was talking about earlier. Like if I wanted to spend more time setting up this guitar, I could probably dial that out if I wanted to, but I don't really want to spend more time setting up this guitar. It's not really bugging me that much. Let's go to the middle position. Neck. And that's it. We don't have any coil splits or anything like we did on that LTD last week, but let's go back. Okay, now let's talk about a few of the cons that I mentioned earlier in this video, and if you've been watching up to this point, you probably already know what they are. The fret job on this guitar is not as quality as I would like. The fret edges aren't super sharp here, but you know, there are some spaces between the actual fretboard and the fret, and when you're running your hand over them, you can kind of feel it a little bit. This could just be done better. These frets could have been seated a little bit better. Like I said, there's a couple of these where I can just straight up get my fingernail underneath them. Now, maybe that's an issue for you. Maybe it isn't. I'm not here to tell you what to do or even how to spend your money. Like, you know, I just want to give you information on these things. I feel like that might be an important detail for you. Again, not egregious, but it's something that I definitely notice while I'm playing this guitar. The other thing that I would say is like the neck has seemed to stabilize for the most part. It actually doesn't even look twisted anymore. So that's good. Actually looks pretty good right now. It's pretty flat, and I was able to get this action super low on it. But again, I was not able to intonate it 100%. This is just the guitar that I have. Maybe I just got a lemon. You know what I mean? Like I could have just got a lemon out of a batch of guitars. That stuff happens. But those are really only my main gripes with this guitar. And the reason I kind of focus on these a little bit is I think that if you are buying an entry-level guitar, you're probably a beginner, maybe. Maybe you're not, I don't know. I'm not trying to assume your status on guitar, but I think that, you know, budget level, entry level guitars are primarily aimed towards beginners. And if you're a beginner, there's a good chance that you don't know the ins and outs of guitar setup, which is something that I highly recommend you learn for yourself, because you will learn the things that you like more than someone who's just gonna do like a standard setup on your guitar. But I digress. Maybe you don't know anything about setting up a guitar. This one might have some issues for you. Like, I got mine out of the box and it was just completely unplayable until I did some adjustments and actually like worked on it a little bit. So I feel like those things are important. I wouldn't ever tell you what to buy or not to buy unless it's like merch, which if you want some sick merch like this Obsidian Audio t-shirt by my company, Obsidian Audio, there's a link for that down in the description. But you know, as far as guitars go, I don't really have a horse in this race. So again, just information. Okay. I actually really like the way these pickups sound. I think they have good pick attack response. All right, so here are my final opinions on this guitar. For those of you that haven't put it together yet, or those of you that just fast forward to this part of the video, I think that this is a good entry-level guitar with a few caveats. If you really like the shape of this guitar, you want a comfortable guitar to play, you really like the price of this guitar, you like the overall, you know, aesthetic, like I think these look pretty cool with the satin finishes and everything. If you really like the aesthetic of this guitar, you want a guitar that's mostly comfortable to play, I think that this is a good option, but I would say with my experience with this guitar, at least, expect to take it to someone who does know how to do a guitar setup, or, you know, roll up your sleeves and, you know, do it yourself. I would probably also say the first thing that I would replace on this guitar is the 𝗏𝐼matic bridge here, just because the one that I have, like the intonation screw locked up and was unusable. Be a little bit delicate with the truss rod. The truss rod was like super, super tight when adjusting it. And again, this is just this guitar. I don't know if that applies to all of them, but yeah, the tuners are mostly okay, but that would probably be the next thing I would upgrade on this guitar, and then like moving onto the pickups or something, you know, if you wanted to. But I thought the pickups actually sounded pretty good. However, this probably isn't news to anyone that watches this channel, but I would definitely prefer a hardtail bridge on this guitar. I'm just not a fan of the string through body bridges. But, you know, other than that, I think it's like mostly good. You know, playing it, it feels really comfortable. This neck profile is really good. All the ergonomic body cuts are really, really nice to have on a guitar like this. Like I said before, the frets aren't the best ever, and this narrow fret thing, I don't know, they don't feel any different to me. I think the fretwork definitely left something to be desired, but it is far from the worst fretwork I've ever seen on a guitar, like really far from it. You know, it's just, you know, little filing here, and then you'd probably be okay. All right, shout out to 𝐒𝐿water and 𝐒𝐏𝐄𝐂𝐈𝐾 for sponsoring this video. You guys know the deal. Use the link down in the description. Help out the channel. More importantly, shout out to you for being here. I really appreciate it. If you guys like this channel, make sure to hit the like button. If you really like it, consider subscribing or being super OP and joining us with these beautiful people over here on Patreon. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.